So let's start with the cornmeal cake first. What I'm doing right now is just cutting up some dried fruits. And you can find dried fruits in your grocery store. Here are some dried apple slices. We've got dried pear, dried apricot, dried prunes, and dried cherries. And you need about 2.5 cups. And you want about 1/2 cup of raisins with this as well. So here are the rest of the apricots. And I like to soak those for a little bit in some homemade orange liqueur. And if you don't have homemade orange liqueur, and you could find this recipe on the Ciao Italia website, you could always use just some liqueur that you have in your liquor cabinet. So now to start the cake, we're going to start, of course, with the olive oil. So we need about 3/4 cup of olive oil, and it's best to do this in a stand mixer. So there's the olive oil, and we want 4 eggs with this. So you want to add the eggs one at a time, just to make sure everything gets really well incorporated. Now, if you didn't want to make this cake with 3/4 cup of olive oil, you could use butter. You could substitute a stick of butter for the cake, but I think it makes a very moist, wonderful cake using the olive oil. And of course, in my mind, it's better for you because you are using olive oil. So there are the eggs. And with that, we want some yogurt, about 1/4 cup. So 1/4 cup of yogurt goes in, just plain yogurt, or you could use sour cream. And about a tablespoon of 50/50. So that's our wet mixture. So we're going to let that go. Now what we need to do is sift together our dry ingredients. So here we have 3/4 cup of unbleached all-purpose flour, 3/4 cup of cornmeal, a cup of sugar, about 1/2 teaspoon, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and 2 teaspoons of baking powder. You just sift that all together to get all of those ingredients mixed well. For flavoring, we're going to want to add some vanilla extract. You want to make sure that you're using a pure extract. So that means it should contain about 35% alcohol. So about a teaspoon to a tablespoon. I like vanilla, so I'm going to put in about, a tablespoon of the vanilla extract. Now we're going to do this cake in a springform pan. So now I'm going to add the dry ingredients. Get that in a little bit at a time. You want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. You want to do that about 20 minutes before you bake the cake, so everything is up to temperature. Really mix that well. And here's our pan. It's a springform pan, and what we've done is buttered it and floured it. That's to ensure that the cake is going to come out. It's very moist, and it's not going to rise real high. Okay, I think that looks good. And now we want to put 1/2 of this mixture into our prepared pan. Make sure that, see how beautiful and yellow that looks. So you gauge about 1/2 of it going into the pan. Spread it evenly, just like that. Looks like about 1/2. And then you take these beautiful fruits and you spread them. If you want to prevent these fruits sinking into the batter, although I don't think it's a problem with this cake, you want to put a little flour on them, and that will help them stay where they should be. So you spread that out. Doesn't this look good? And that's all there is to that. And now you spread the rest of the batter over the top, covering the fruits. Your oven is on at 350 degrees. This cake is going to take, somewhere between 35-40 minutes, depending on your oven. You'll know it's baked when a A cake skewer comes out clean when you put it in the center of the cake. And also, I know when things are baked by smell. That's an important sense to use in the kitchen. It's all set, and you and I will keep our eye on it. So in the bottom oven it goes. Wish we had smell-o-vision, because I think you would find that to be a beautiful cake.